Hello everyone. Welcome back to another video. I want to talk about my experience in Metro 2033, and honestly, you can really tell the age of the game from the gameplay and graphic. The display setting is a bit buggy as its full screen kind of prevents me from controlling the volume or interacting with other apps as the screen fades to black if I try to alt tab out. After less than 90 minutes, I stopped playing and uninstalled it because I had motion sickness that forced me to lie down in bed. If not, I would have puked due to the lack of POV slider. Or maybe it's due to the 60Hz refresh rate display back then. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this happened in 2022. I only tried it once and never touched it again. I thought to myself, why is it so aged? Last Light wasn't this bad. Until I realized they gave the original version, not the Redux. It will be until 2025 when I got the Redux version for free and tried it now. So what is the experience like in 2026? Well, even in my high-end build specs shown in screen, I could only guess 90 FPS on max settings, which baffles me because this game is old. Remastered it may be, but when I started playing, this is the graphics I knew from last night. Not gonna lie, the first half had me confused and frustrated and kinda bored, as the exposition at the start kinda does a poor job of telling you what's going on other than Artyom is going out of his station for the first time in order to rescue it. The only thing I know from the beginning of the game is that if Hunter doesn't return, we need to get to the Central Station or HQ to get aid, and off he goes. One thing off the bat, the atmosphere and sound design in this game aged like fine wine, as I'm immediately uncomfortable walking alone in the metro tunnels, let alone outside. Again, I want to reiterate that the first half feels like a bit of a slog, as most of the time you are alone. Yeah, you meet people sometimes along the way, but they die inevitably in the cutscene. I genuinely feel frustrated during this part as the pacing feels very off, very slow, and a bit boring. Feels like you are progressing so slow and just have your way ruined by so many plot contrivances that feels forced, and I know it's a horror game so I don't expect it to be smooth sailing. But still, some of them are caused by very stupid reasons, and I hate how Artyom just wants to solve people's problems and almost die from it but got saved in the last minute, like Deus Ex Machina type trope. Yeah, it's just and the silence nature of it and his silence nature makes it very frustrating because no one would react the way he did for all the situation. And I also want to highlight the unevenness of the chapter, as some are super long or some are just doing a simple thing and that's it. That's the whole chapter. Can we talk about the gameplay? The monsters or mutants are frightening at first, but turn annoying after a quarter of the game because they feel like bullet sponges that barely react to your shot. While reloading is the slowest thing in the world in this game. I know it's horror, but it shouldn't be this slow. Look, I know that it heightens the horror and you need to pick your shots and battles. It makes you feel powerless, but it could be in a more satisfying way. But hey, this is their first game, so I'm not gonna nitpick too much because their next games are solid. But I do wish they could just take a page from Resident Evil 4 where the enemy movements is adapted to the gunplay so that there is still some aspects of horror without the frustration part. But I am pleasantly surprised by the enemy type librarian at the end of the game because it really forces you to look the monster in the eye so that it backs off. But for me personally, the game picked up my interest only after we discovered that the HQ doesn't want to send help to his station. But what confuses me is that why are they resorting to nuclear weapon to wipe an entire species? But also the fact that the second half of the game, most of the journey is done with people, so there is some aspect of entertainment, banter, and companion. It's not even, oh, I don't want to be alone because it's scary, but like, no banter or interaction is just super boring, especially alone in the atmosphere. Like, if you expect the atmosphere and the world to carry that experience, well, I have to tell you something, but I do like how they showcase different stations and factions as different ideologies have different ways of handling things, and just the overall vibe from different station immerses you and gives you different perspective on how they run things. By the end of the game, I didn't really understand the story or the point of the story. Like, they didn't show why we need to wipe out the dark ones. They only told us why, but they never showed us like the consequences of fighting the dark ones. And I feel like we've encountered a few of them along the journey and they still survive anyway, so I don't see the point of wiping out the dark ones. But since I know the story of Last Light, I'm not gonna question it too much. Honestly, all in all, I think this game aged quite well because the atmosphere and the world building really carried the game. But for me, there are really some annoying parts, and there are some things that I just don't really like. But if you like it, that's great. I think Last Light is far superior, and comment down if you think I should try Exodus because people say it's the best, but some people say it strays too much to the original. You know how the internet is. So honestly, just comment down your opinion. And thank you for watching. And as for the next video, I don't know yet.